From the News Channel 5 Network, this is SportsLine.
Hey there, SportsLine on your television. Steve Lehman here with you. Glad you are here with us on this Tuesday night on News Channel 5 Plus. Big day in the college basketball world on Rocky Top as Donnie Tyndall introduced as the new head coach of the Tennessee Volunteers. We've talked about that all day. We'll have much more coming up tonight on the news at 10 o'clock as Donnie Tyndall takes over at Tennessee. From every coach I've talked to, that is a very good hire for the Vols because he brings a lot of excitement, a big personality, and he's won everywhere he's ever coached coming in to this opportunity in Knoxville. So a good day for Tennessee. That coaching search is over with. They did it quickly here in a recruiting period, so he can now try to put his staff together and get out on the road very, very quickly. But tonight we are going to talk some football, and we're also going to talk some life stuff. The book tonight is Bigger Than Me. It is written by Jovan Haye, former Titans player, a guy who bounced around the NFL, had a really successful career, along with M.M. Buckner, who helped him write the book. But it's a great story, inspiration, all that stuff. And we welcome Jovan into the studio. Jovan, thanks for coming in tonight.
Thanks for having me, Steve.
So tell me about this. The book, I guess first off, where did the idea come from?
Actually, it came from my wife. We talked about it for a while, and she said, "Hey, I think your story's compelling, and I think it would be good to actually put it, on paper." And I just never thought my life was that important to put it on paper. But we did it. It took about 2.5 years. M.M. Buckner, she did a great job with writing it. I just stayed in my chair in my office, told the story. She put the pen to the paper, and Teresa Morris and Mickey Payne helped put the book together. So hats off to them.
You're about 3 years out of your NFL career. How long into the process of retirement, I guess, did you start thinking, all right, this is something I'm interested in doing, a story worth telling?
It was actually, it was towards, my last couple of years here, not dressing, and, that preseason before I was finally released, I kind of told myself, you know what, it's time to start thinking about life after football and start preparing for it. But, I would say good 2 years before, into my 6th year.
So tell me the process from saying, okay, I've got a story that maybe people would be interested in, to actually finding someone to write it and to publish it and all those sort of things. What is the process to get that done?
It was tough. I tried to find some publishers here. They said, I guess, that my name wasn't big enough. So I said, all right, well, I'm going to add you to my list of doubters. So I kind of did it on my own, went on LinkedIn, found Mary, read her profile, loved it, reached out to her. She was excited about it. She's won many awards as a writer. So it was a great fit. She came to my house, and 4 hours every week for 2.5 years.
4 hours every week for 2.5 years. Mm-hmm. How many different stories do you tell there, or do you go back over a lot of the same stories?
A lot of same stories. She'll fill in, she'll write. So it was. She was like my psychiatrist, which I don't have one, but I had the chair laid out. She just told me, asked me questions, I answered them, and she just told me start talking. So I really didn't do much but tell them a story. She was the one who made the magic happen.
So how long has the book been out now?
November the 21st, so it's been out for a few months now.
Several months. What is the initial feedback been?
It's awesome. It's around my dyslexia. I'm dyslexic, and I just never knew that writing a book and having a press release, it blew up. I mean, I'm traveling everywhere to go speak. I just got the Eye to Eye National Org in New York. I am a board member now. I got voted in 2 weeks ago, and those are things I never dreamed of. So the response has been great. Kids love it. Hear stories about how kids take it to camp. They'll sleep with the book. So as long as I'm able to spread my message and change people's life, I think that's all I really cared about. Not making much on it anyway, so the message is more important.
Have you talked to any of those publishers though that said you didn't have a big enough name that you've succeeded here again?
I will let my sales and let that message, and my dream was never to become a New York bestseller, New York Times bestseller, but if it happens, it happens. But it's about the message. If I could change one person's life, I think it's worth it.
I'm not going to make you come every week for 2.5 years and tell the story, but let's try and tell the story here tonight. Jovan Haye is our guest. The book is Bigger Than Me. Let's tell the people first before we get into the story. Where can they get it if they're interested?
You can go to Amazon and Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and then it will be on iTunes and Kindle Fire within the next 2-3 weeks. We have different outlets, but if you go to JovanHaye.com, you could find all the means, all the avenues, where the book is located. So you just go to my personal website.
Excellent. It's a great story indeed. Let's start at the very beginning, Jovan. You were born in Jamaica, and you came to the U.S. at age 5. Tell me a little bit about those early years.
It was, running around in Jamaica, it was freedom. People didn't lock their doors, run around with no shoes and happy-go-lucky, leave the house at 7 in the morning, may not come home till 7 at night. Everyone knew each other, That's what I knew growing up. Friends, families, church, big in the church. So my years in Jamaica early were great.
What was the decision from your family to make the move to the United States?
Well, they knew they didn't always want to live in Jamaica. They wanted to come to the States and make a better life. So they left me behind. They would come back, here and there to, in the summers to come check up on me. But they definitely wanted to establish a better life up in New Jersey. So.
You moved to New Jersey initially, yes. Then you eventually got to Florida, correct?
Down to Florida, uh-huh.
What was life growing up in your family at home for you?
It's tough, It's a Jamaican household, If you really not Jamaican, you really truly don't know what goes on. You get a lot of whoopings, tough love. I always knew my parents loved me, but the way they showed it was totally different than you seeing friends. You were like, man, you don't get punished like I do, but it's just that Jamaican household. Growing up with dyslexia, they never knew exactly what was going on, so they just thought I was a slow learner, and just, a lot of times they thought I had, no hope.
At what point did you first realize, hey, something's going on here? I'm struggling a bit.
Oh, it was early. Even Jamaica, I had a bad stuttering problem, and, I never really was able to put 2 and 2 together. I couldn't read well. Couldn't do anything. I used to skip school. You wouldn't imagine you're 5 years old skipping school, but I would hang out in the sugar canes all day until kids school let out. But especially in Jersey, when I'm in a better schooling system, they knew something was wrong. I could never match words. Couldn't spell, letters twisted. I would jump from line to line, and they kind of knew something was up. So I would do tutoring sessions, and then finally, the principal of the school said, hey, you got to get Jovan tested. So that's what we did.
So at what point did that happen, and you got an official diagnosis?
It was about 8, when I was 8, about 8.5.
And how did that change? Once you got the diagnosis and knew that you were dyslexic, did you see progress immediately from that point,
no.
or how did things develop?
I actually got worse because now my parents had to worry about this disability that I had, and wow. They it was new to them. They didn't know anything. Jamaican culture, we're kind of behind. When it comes to certain things, we're not Americanized like we are here. So dyslexia, it was foreign to them, and they just did their best to try to work around it. Got hooked on phonics. All that didn't work. The extra tutors, nothing seemed to work. And I think my parents did their best, but having a child that can't learn, they thought I was defiant at times when I really wasn't. It was in my brain being dyslexic. It's you can't get around it. It's my genes. So they could never get a hold of what was going on.
We're going to really dive into how you overcame that and had a very successful NFL career, among other things, over the course of this hour. But give me sort of the tease right before we go to a commercial break. How did you overcome?
Be honest with you, it's God. I had a long talk with God one night, just poured out my heart to him, and I think he just, it was a time he was waiting for. He was waiting for that talk, and I think once we had that talk, he turned that light on. He told me, hey, Jovan, hey, you got to approach this, you got to take dyslexia a little more seriously and prepare ahead. So that's what I did. Just no more excuses. I stopped using dyslexia as a crutch. So
we've dug into just the icing on the cake at this point. This is a terrific story. We're going to get to it in earnest over the next several minutes here on SportsLine. Jovan Haye, former Titan, is our guest here tonight, so please stay with us. You're watching SportsLine on News Channel 5+.